Let's go ahead and let's do the in my app. What we did is I have this little widget up here where you can well, let's do the look and feel actually because this app is terrible looking. I'm not gonna lie. All right, so let's bring in Bootstrap. Um, the um, the easiest way to do that is to actually use another gem. That gem is called Bootstrap SAS, I think.
And this is like a file where you store all the gems you're using?
Yeah, exactly. The way that the gem file works is it actually goes and downloads stuff automatically for you, so you don't have to go download it yourself. So this ends up being really, really, really useful. So Bootstrap SAS is for Ruby on Rails, which is great. So you just want to install this thing, and then it tells you what to do. It says, okay, hey, go put this in your application.scss. So we'll kind of talk about how Rails has a really, really cool mechanism for how it puts CSS and stuff together so that you don't have to essentially manage it yourself. But that's for a different day. So for now, let's just go ahead and include it in. So we got to change this to be CSS. And then we'll do these two things. And we don't actually need any of that stuff. And now, as long as we run bundle, this will be available to us. Turns out there's one other thing we want to do, which is require these two things in your application JavaScript file, which is where all of our JavaScript goes. We already have jQuery here, so this is required jQuery, but it's right here. That's the same thing, so I don't have to worry about that. Okay, so that'll do those things, and then we gotta go and run bundle. Alright, and see how it says using Sprockets and Sprockets Rails, and it says installing this. Perfect. That's what we want, installing. Alright, at this point, we should be able to go over here to your app, and it says, oh my god, it's so irritated, it can't find this file. So it turns out when you install a new gem, you have to restart the server. Because it doesn't know. It doesn't know they're new gems. It's trying its hardest. Alright, so you see how everything has a little bit different look now?
Yeah.
You notice that? So that's a good start. What we actually want to do is, let's use this narrow Jumbotron layout. That's kind of what I'm using. So the easiest way to do this is to just take this stuff, copy a whole bunch of stuff in here, and we'll paste it into our application. So the dynamic part of our application is symbolized by this yield tag. This says, all right, I'm done being the standard part of the application, and now I want to instead be the dynamic part. I'm just going to comment out all this stuff. Alright. And then this Jumbotron thing, we're going to put that somewhere else. Put that in the timeline. I'll show you how to move around very efficiently in here later on, but that's for a different day. Alright. We're going to say timeline here. Okay, field tag, and then see how this has got all these LIs here? But instead we've got these LIs, so let's go and put these guys in. So it's pretty much the same, but I really want to have this role presentation in here. Watch this. Boom. And then the rest of this stuff we'll just hang on to for later. And we're going to make this eventually say login. Sign in. Alright, so we got Friendbook and Friends. This is supposed to be a project name, so we'll actually put Friendbook. Transformation. Got these extra things hanging out here. Alright, this looks a little better.
Yeah.
Doesn't look quite like this. We're missing that little header. So let's go ahead and get that piece. I feel like we're missing this thing. Let's see. So we're missing this little line here, and ours is too wide too. I wonder why that is. Let's make this a link. Alright, so that's going to be a link to our project name. That's cool. Now we can click on that to go to slash. Oh, here's the timeline. That looks really good. So we don't have quite everything we need. It turns out that this little example actually has one more piece, and it's this nice narrow.scss. Let's go ahead and we'll download this and save this somewhere so we can use the same file, because we're just kind of borrowing off the stuff here. Turns out that vendor asset style sheet is already hooked up with this. Alright, boom. Success. Here are our friends. Here's our timeline. So now your application is looking a lot like mine, except you don't have to sign in time. So, alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to implement the sign-in stuff with ARB if you guys haven't seen it yet. We're going to do it by creating a sessions controller. Yes, it's correct. A little weird because I'm actually in two windows. Alright, so we're going to create a class sessions controller. It doesn't really matter what you guys chose for a name. We're going to inherit from application controller. So if you put it directly in application controller, what is the potential downside of that? Yeah. Is application controller ever routed to by an action? I mean, there's no specific downside. The thing that's weird is application controller is sort of abstract in the sense that we don't route to it. You know, it's the base class for all the other ones. So that method will be mixed into every single class, which could be what you want, but I think maybe it may not be. So for example, in friends controller, those methods will be there. In timelines controller, because they all inherit from application controller. Okay. Oh, you put the methods for it. Okay, I think that's not a bad call. I can totally get down with that. I call my sessions, no big deal. Kind of the same thing. So I'm going to have one resource called session. And I'm going to have these couple different actions, and then that's going to need me to have I'm going to need a view called sessions and a file called new.html.erb. And then what I'm going to do inside of this file is I'm going to have a form. Okay, form tag. Okay, the URL is going to be. Actually, I think the URL, as I recall, is actually just it's the first parameter of the form tag. And this is going to have to be this style. And then I think all I need here is I need a submit button. Submit tag here. So this should give me that. And then, let's see here, add it to the routes. That's resource session. So let's just go ahead and we'll go to our application thing. We'll make a link to it. This link is going to be right here. Instead of being static, we're going to make it dynamic. Link to login. And it's going to be new session app. Alright, let's see if we get some luck. Login. Session new. Session new. There's a login button. Inspect element on this. Okay, looks pretty good. It's a post to the session path. So that looks really good. So now all I want to do is I want to put the user that I want to log in as. So from my, I was playing with this before. So from this will give me all the users in the system. Anybody see any problem with this little code snippet? Per se. Let's see here. Guys, think about this. Is this let me go back. Well, it isn't the form actually, because it's the block here, so that's actually fine. Anybody see any other problems? More kind of like organizational or potential code smells. We usually access models directly in forms or in views. Not really. It's kind of a bad look. But this is just kind of this is actually just part of a little play app, and I think it's actually helpful to understand here. We're iterating all of the users, so we're just going to kind of do it like this. But you could just as easily set an @users instance variable inside of the controller. So this is going to set all of these things here. Now the thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to set the select here. This is going to send back something into the params hash, and it's going to send it back depending on what we set the name attribute on the select as. And the value of the selected thing will actually come from whatever we set into the value here in the selected thing. So there are Rails helpers for these, but yeah, I agree. I don't find them to be particularly helpful in this kind of situation because I know pretty much exactly what I want the HTML to look like. And so I'll just use string interpolation, a combination of ERB and string interpolation. So here I've got to select, the name is user ID, and here I've got all of the user IDs of my people. So then what I would want to happen is in my session path, in create here, I would want to go ahead, user, find, params, user ID, just give me my user. And then I'll just say session user ID equals user.id. And then, oops, completed wrong. And then we're going to do redirect to, where should we redirect to? Root path, maybe?
That's how you have it set up.
Yep, I think that sounds like a pretty good idea. You're signed in. Alright, so that'll let us do that. Now we probably are going to want to, so let's go ahead and run this. Alright, so here I'm going to sign in as Ori. Worked pretty good. Unfortunately, I still have this login button. Ugh, I'm the worst. So probably what I want to do here is instead of having it always say login, what do I want to do instead? PJ. Instead of having always say login, what do I want to have here instead? See, I'm logged in. It still says login. What should I do instead? What's a common idiom I can use here? We already have login. So probably I want to just like show who I'm logged in as. So if current user maybe. So if the current user is present, I'll do one thing. Otherwise, so here I'll just say current user .name. All right. So at this point it says undefined local variable current user. Where should we define current user? Hank, you know this one. Yeah. That's where I put it. Helper method. What does helper method do again? Yeah, what does helper method do? What is, oh, it's okay. You're not following. Okay. It's okay. So yeah, so helper method, it makes a method in a controller available to us as a method in a view. All right, and so with that, we set the session user ID here. So now we can do find by, so we don't throw our 404 by accident, and expose by current user. And that will make it so that Owen Harris shows up in here, and he looks kind of like a jerk because he's not in a link tag. But I'll just kind of make a fake link here. Owen Harris, and then we got all these guys. So probably we don't actually want to have just an empty link. Probably what we want to do is actually just have them sign out. That's usually what happens when you click on your name, or you get like a menu. So we want to do that. What are the options that we want to put in here so that this link can magically sign you out, maybe like with a confirm, like we did in my application, example application. Anyone know what we want to do here? We got the if else already. That's kind of set up.
So then,
Is it?
that the user's logged in,
Mm-hmm.
and we want to destroy.
Definitely agree. Definitely agree. Sign out. You guys ever seen these data confirm things? So then yeah, and then it's going to say method is delete. So now sign out, and then that'll post to session with the destroy action, and then this expecting us to actually do something. What's the thing we got to do when we have people sign out? We've done it a couple times before. Anyone think of a situation?
You want to drop the session.
Yep. Reset session. Boom. Session reset. Log in. Miss Jacobs. Now I'm Miss Jacobs. Now I click on this. Sign out. Now I'm not. Cool? Cool? So, kind of crazy. But that's how we do sign in and sign out thing. Alright, cool. So then the last thing we're going to try to do today, and we have just a little bit of time, but we talked about the structure already, is let's set up the friends. Let's set up the friends thing, but we won't do the whole confirm the request. We'll just let you from this list of friends. Well, let's do two things. First of all, we have a friends controller, and that really doesn't represent your friends. It really represents everybody in the whole system. So we did this on purpose actually because I think that this is a hard part about Rails is having to change stuff. Let's rename the friends controller to a people controller or users controller. Let's go, which we go with, users or people?
I just want users.
Alright, let's go with users. That'll just be everybody in the whole system. And then we'll make a friends controller that shows people who are just your friends. Don't worry about that quite yet, but in the users controller, next to everybody, make a button that says add as friend. And when you click add as friend, that's when you want to create this friend relationship. And that's what we're going to show in the friends controller. So first step is, I'm going to put this in the gist. So let me go ahead and edit this. Call it second pass. Dash. Edit. Alright. Refactor. Rename, I guess. Rename to users controller. So we're going to add a button to each user to add as a friend. When the button is clicked, create a friend row linking the two users, and then create a new friends controller. That just shows people you're friends with. All right, and then I think what we're going to do in the third pass is going to be, just in case people get ahead here, is create a new friend request controller. And have people confirm their friends before adding. All right, that's going to be the whole. That'll be pretty much the whole class with Paul, because there's a whole bunch of different pieces to that. You guys can send emails, list them out, and so forth. So for second pass here, this should be updated now. We want to go ahead and start with renaming it, and then add those buttons and so forth. Cool. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go through this with R super slow, so if anybody gets stuck, then just follow along. Good deal? All right, so I'm going to go ahead, I'll stop one